Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the Rockies red glare of bombs bursting, it proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So I'm hoping that we can bring more people back in the future years, because this is a day for us all to remember. And standing here behind me are the people that really feel about this holiday. What do you mean a holiday? Patriots Day is a holiday? Celebrating a tragedy? Yes. Yes. We don't want to forget it. So we got to do something. And it means to celebrate a little bit, we celebrate a little bit.
But as we get further and further away from some of these events that occur during our life, we have a tendency to move on. And I thank Wally and the American Legion Post what they've done to make sure that we don't forget, because it's so important that we don't. Behind me I have a crew of our firefighters that are here to support us, what we do. They join me in thanking the Legion for helping us to remember what happened and the contributions. Trying to put together a little bit of my thoughts for today, and thinking back not only to 6 years ago, but what September 11th means to me. And it's a personal thing with me. A lot of times you hear about disasters that happen in different parts of the world, and there are disasters that happen and you feel bad and whatever. But with September 11th, it's a personal issue, because I knew some of the New York City firefighters. There was Ray Downey, a highly decorated rescue chief, ran on Rescue 2, deputy fire chief of that organization, who I'd known for about 20 years. And when the call came out that the first plane had hit the towers, Chief Downey was one of the first people to get there, because he knew there'd be some search and rescue needed. And I think about the good times I had with Chief Downey, and what a great, great person he was. And he was the kind of person on the fire department that it didn't matter what fire department you were from. He believed in the brotherhood of the fire service. And when you met Chief Downey, and if he knew you were on a fire department, you were instantly his friend and his brother. And I miss him. I miss him. I see him once a year at conferences.
We give thanks today for our military personnel and their families, the sacrifices that they make. We give thanks also today for the dedication and sacrifices of our police officers and our firefighters and our paramedics. We give thanks today for the Farmington and Farmington Hills public safety personnel who keep our Farmington communities safe. Today is the day we remember all those who have sacrificed to protect us from evil. May God bless our Farmington communities and keep us safe and watch over our protectors. I'd like to introduce now Chief William Dwyer from the Farmington Hills Police Department.
You know, we're gathered here this evening to remember. We're gathered to remember one of the darkest days in the history of our nation. And we gather to remember more than 7,070 of our fellow citizens, nearly 3,000 of who perished during the morning of September 11, 2001. the remainder giving their lives serving in our armed forces since. During the early morning hours of September 11, 2001, our country and our residents fell under attack. It was and remains the most deadly assault ever carried out on American soil. Many died, we all suffered. In late 2001, we called upon the courageous men and women of our armed forces and asked them to put themselves in harm's way as we, as a country, invaded Afghanistan. In March 2003, we again summoned these heroes and sent them to Iraq to fight a war for people in need and a war for all that fear the threat of terror. More than 7,070 of our fellow Americans have lost their lives in the war being waged against this country, indeed against humanity. Since the horror in New York in 2001, some victims of a cowardly act of terrorism orchestrated against an innocent civilian population, other brave men and women with our armed forces fighting for us and for others who cannot. All of them are heroes.